All right, we are live. All right, hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another installment of BrickWall Reviews, or as we've been calling it this month, BrickWall Horror. Where's he at? Where's he at?
Talk.
See, not good.
Choke them. Talk right now. Don't get quiet on us.
What was that? What was that?
Hey.
Like Shrek. It was like Shrek. What's talking this damn thing? We had a special effect with smoke bombs, but since someone didn't want to talk at first, but as you can see, you said. Anyway, so as you can see, this is a witch, and surprisingly, we're doing the movie The Witches, which
is a witch?
I don't know. He has a witch hat.
Okay.
Well, he has a witch hat. I'm calling him a witch. Don't judge me. Tonight, we're going to be going over the recent HBO Max original, The Witches, which is tired. A 2020.
He's tired tonight.
He sounds like it. Which is the Witches is the 2020 remake of the 1990 classic movie, also known as The Witches. Before we start, I want to. I didn't think it was going to be that distracting. Before we start, I want to remind you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are doing videos here every week. This Friday is the return of The Mandalorian, so you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be here every Friday night talking about The Mandalorian's new episodes, Season 2. I'm pumped to listen to the theme song for the past 30 minutes.
Making the baby suffer.
No, you don't have to suffer through this.
I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the baby.
Oh. She loved the song.
She did.
The theme song is amazing.
She liked the Parker's theme song.
She'll love The Mandalorian too. Sam just does her BrickWall anime videos as well weekly. Her last video, go check it out, was on Tokyo Ghoul and outstanding anime.
What does his outfit look like?
Hopefully, I don't know if we're gonna get another season of that. I hope we do though. Tokyo Ghoul, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Still haven't finished it though, surprisingly. Because it does get kind of sad. It does get kind of sad.
The whole thing is sad.
It is. But for more on that, check out her review of Tokyo Ghoul up here on the BrickWall Reviews YouTube page. Find us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter as well. So now that we've got all that out of the way, The Witches. The Witches. What can be said about The Witches at face value? Let's hear what you have to say.
That they're witches and that they hate children.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, that's practically the gist of it. These witches hate these children so damn much that they go out of their way to try to eradicate them off the. I'm trying to think. I can't think of the other word, but they try to eradicate them off the face of this earth. They want to get rid of them so bad that they go through great lengths to try to do so. And in these two movies, one thing that they both have in common is that they go to turn the children into mice by offering them candy at the candy store. So she said it right. Open up the candy store.
Yeah, now they will open up a candy store, but before they were sporadically offering kids candy on the corners. That's why you don't take candy from strangers. We see that that one comes from.
Yeah, you don't.
Or else should be turned into a damn chicken. And first of all, you're confusing the two because we're talking about the 2020 version of the witches, and in that version, they were turning them into chickens at first.
Well, yeah. Well, in the 1990 one, they were turning them, just throwing them in the paintings at first too.
Yeah. So the common denominator here is that they started to turn them to mice.
Yeah. So that's what these witches do. The 2020 version just came out recently. It starred Chris Rock as the narrator, which we'll get into that a little bit later. Octavia Spencer and Hathaway as the Grand High Witch, which he did a great job. Stanley Tucci and a lot of other actresses and actors that I haven't really seen in a lot of things before. And in the 1990, we'll talk about the 1990 version later on. So in this 2020 version, with all these great stars and celebrities, it's set in 1967.
In Alabama.
Yeah, in Alabama, 1967. where this young boy, he goes to live with his grandmother after his parents die in a car accident. And while he's staying with her, he starts to learn about witches. Grandmother, she's really into the healing arts and that type of positive magic. That's the best way I can describe it.
I'm not gonna say it's positive magic because people are gonna do what they want. It just depends on that individual person into what they decide to turn it into.
Okay, so you would just keep it at healing arts then?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, she's into the healing arts, and she tells him about witches. He learns about it, and they go to stay at this really fancy hotel. And
why did they stay at the hotel? Because the grandmother found out that the boy had interaction with the witch, and they could no longer stay at their house. And so the funny thing is, she's like, I'm about to call in a favor from my cousin because he worked at that hotel for 30 years. He has good rep there, so I'm gonna go ahead, call him, and we're gonna get the best room there. And the funny thing is that when they arrive at the hotel, all of the servants are African American, and so she was getting ready to tip one. He was like, "Nah, just keep it."
Yeah. The 2021 has a lot of it touches on a lot of racial.
I mean, but that's first of all, that's 67 Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, if they didn't touch on it, then it'll be like, okay, you can't act like stuff was peachy when it really wasn't.
Yeah, and it makes sense. And I mean, one of the things I realized just with that setting, they kind of touched it, but I don't find outside of it, being that setting and having to address those things, I don't find really much of a reason it had to be set at that time. Like it maybe could have been set in like a different time period for it to. Well, I don't know. Like I don't know. No, not 2020. At least maybe like the 80s or something.
Why? I would say the 60s because of the lack of developments.
Okay.
Like that's what I would say. Like a lot of. And like you really don't see people talking about magic now. You may see them talking about the healing arts, but you really don't see people talking about magic. And I would say like in the 60s, if you wanted to get it technical, they could have done it in the 40s because that's when you probably would have really expected more elements of magic to be present.
Okay.
So I would say the later on in history is the more prevalent of exposure to people actually accepting and realizing that there are magical forces. So I would say that this time period is a great time period, like 67. Well, maybe they, like I said, they probably could have pushed it back a couple of years, like the 50s or the 40s. And because like I said, during the 67, that was when racial segregation was pretty much at its highest, and with Martin Luther King and all that type of stuff. So I would say that time period may have been an awkward year to do it. Like I said, probably would have been better doing it in the early 1900s.
Okay. Well, in that case, with that said, because that makes perfect sense, that actually might just be a personal thing for me because I've been watching things like Lovecraft Country and I'm tired of seeing that time period. But what you said, that definitely
that's what I'm saying. That's why it's in that time.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense.
Like that. At the end of the day, a lot of magical elements were derived from African Americans and just like indigenous people and stuff like that. Yeah. So therefore, during that time period, you would expect it to be utilized more with the type of segregation and stuff that was going on. Oh,
yeah, okay. Well, yeah. In that case, I foot and mouth. That makes a lot of sense. So it's funny when they get to the hotel, they arrive at the same time. Grand High Witch, again played by Anne Hathaway, and all of her, it says here, fellow croonies, but fellow witches.
Well, they were her croonies. She had them bitches in line.
She did.
Girl, she had them bitches in line.
And I love that. She's like, witches, shoes off. And they had their shoes off in unison. Everything she said they did in unison. If one spoke out of line, she
paid the price.
Paid the price. She turned you into dust or something without snapping the fingers. Had to do it. So they arrive at the hotel at the same time as the witches, that they're having this conference under the guise of practically people here to protect children or against the wrongdoings of children, which is kind of funny that they're posing as something to protect children, but they're having a conference about destroying children. And so that's when they're coming up with their plan. And so that's really what this 2020 version is,
she of course uses a child. She's already found a child and pretty much uses this child as the example of what will happen. Because at these conventions, they basically talk about ways to get rid of children.
Yeah, that's
what they basically talk about. So she's come up with this solution, and of course, you put it in chocolate, little greedy kids candy, of course. So the little fat boy comes and he's pretty much, where's my candy? Where you promised me sex? So she's pretty much getting stalling, and he eventually turns into the mouse. And this whole time, what's his name? Little Luke. What's his name? Luke Marcus. Someone Marcus.
I think his name was different in this. Because they only have him listed here as Hero Boy.
But okay, so
darn, they said his name like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Okay, well look, he's Hero Boy.
Boy in the story, he's pretty much it. Like I said, it pretty much follows the same pattern as the 1990s The Witches, but this one was a little bit different because of the fact that he was actually able to get into an event. So he's there at the convention, and what caught me because first of all, y'all all over that stage. How y'all didn't smell him before?
No, that trips me out in the 1991, where he's like not even in the vent. He's just standing there.
Yeah, but he was behind the trifold thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I like in the 2021 how they go about finding him though. I think that was more tense.
Sniffing?
Yeah.
They was
well, I think that was more tense how she went to find him. Because remember, before it was just the assistant, like, I smell rat poo. And then this one, she was all the way on the side and was like, wait a damn sec. Because she was kind of smelling it the whole time, like, something smell. Nah, it's not no kid in here. And after Fatty gets turned into the damn mouse, she's like, wait a
first of all, that's when I would have left.
And look, and
he could have left several times, but he chose to stay there.
Yeah, and she was after that. She was just like, "Wait a goddamn minute, I smell." And then how they had a nose moving around like that, like a cartoon almost. They use a lot. They use so
the grandmas in both the 2020 version and 1990 version have had encounters with the witches, so they are familiar with how a witch would look. They're pretty much general characteristics, their features, why they wear certain shoes, which I found interesting, the different types of shoes that they wore, because of the fact that in the 2020 version of it, they all have pointed toes shoes, but in the 1990 version, only the Grand High Witch wore the pointed toe shoe. And so the differentiation of the witches were that they don't wear pointed toe shoes because of their box-shaped feet. So that was one thing. So the grandmas pretty much were like, yo, this is a witch if this happens. This is a witch if this happens.
Yeah, both grandmas were very, and they each had their own experiences with witches at first.
They had their experiences, but they really didn't say. I would say the 2020 version expressed more of the interaction with the witch, as opposed to the 1990 version, because they really didn't say how the incident happened.
Yeah, with the grandma. Only thing you know is that she knew of a child that was put into the. No, she knew the child directly. That was put into the pain and everything. But this
they
one,
were best friends.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm saying. The grandma in the 1990s version, she actually lost a finger. So I think that they would have, while she was telling her story of what a witch is, if she would have just had possibly a flashback of her brief encounter with the witch, that would have let us, get more insight on how she lost the finger.
Yeah, I like how in both versions they kind of keep it like the witches, even after they saw the witches and escape, they're still affected by the witch. In the original, in the 1990 version, Grandma, she got diabetes and was smoking a cigarette like a badass.
She was smoking a cigar. She didn't care.
Yeah, the cigar. That's what it was. It's like, oh, damn, I got diabetes. I got lung cancer, bitch. It's punk ass diabetes.
Damn sugar. I thought it died of lung cancer.
It's sugar free.
Yeah, sugar free.
And but with the 2020 version, I think it wasn't really like so much of a disease. I think it was just kind of just like an effect on her body because the witch was nearby.
I think so as well. I don't think she had necessarily a disease.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that because of her actually practicing a form of magic, that she was able to pick up her her senses picked up that it was disruption.
Yeah. So this 2021 is directed by Robert Zemeckis, who does movies like Monster House, and he did Back to the Future. And if anybody likes the Polar Express, he did the Polar Express as well. I kind of want to. Do you think the direction that he took with this film? Do you think it was more of a? I guess because I know obviously it's different, but do you think it was more like a more scary version? Do you think it was more fleshed out?
I would say that okay, so in comparisons with the witches, I would say that the 1990s version of the witch was a little bit more scary.
Mm-hmm.
The 2020 version, while she had different features that could have been presented as scary, that it still wasn't as scary as actually seeing a deformed witch.
Yeah.
And then like that also played itself out too because of the fact that at the end of the 1990s version, okay, so in the 1990s version, all of the witches, including the Grand High Witch, took the ended up ingesting the potion to turn
Yeah.
them into mice. In the 2020 version, the Grand High Witch did not ingest the potion. So with that being said, one of the witches in the 1990s version did not ingest it because she was tired of the Grand High Witch and she quit. So she didn't take the potion.
Ah, okay, I remember that.
And so this witch, she was looking at Luke as they were leaving, and and so she ended up going to that house, and I was like, oh shit, she about to finish him off. And so she starts putting her magic through the window at Luke, and he starts to grow, and it's crazy because of how where he was living. He was living inside of a little house, so I thought that he was about to bust out the big house, but she ended up turning him back into a child. And once she turned him into the child, her fingers started to grow back. So she had all 5 fingers after she started to do good. So the thing about it is that the Grand High Witch in this instance is supposed to be the most evil witch ever. And so the fact that they turned the 1990s version into the ugliest looking creature ever showed how evil she was.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's what they did in the 1990s. And this one, she's supposed to be, I mean, I figure that based off of her having the claws for her feet instead of, because the Grand High Witch had differentiations in her appearance in both movies. So, like I said, with her fingers, they were a little different, and her toes were different than the other witches. But I like the way that they presented the witch in the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like some of the elements of the 2020 version of the witch.
Yeah, which and that actually leads me right into this question that I've been trying to figure out how to get to naturally here. So of course, like I said, Anne Hathaway plays the Grand High Witch in this 2020 version, and Angelica Houston, who was known as Mrs. Adams. I don't know the Adams families by first names, but the wife. She was the wife in the Adams. Morticia. She was Morticia Adams in the Adams family. She played the Grand High Witch in the 1990s version.
You were late.
I was. Okay. So what I was gonna ask is, who did it? Who did better? Who did better? Because Angelica
like
Houston.
I like both of them. Both of them did an excellent job with the role of the witch. Like I said, the 1990s version I loved, of course. I think I like that version. Just that one better than the 2020. Mm-hmm. But I would have to say, in regards to the actresses, both of them were phenomenal in their role, and I think that they were equally yoked for the role. I don't think either one did it better. I think that they both perfected it.
I think Angelica Houston did a little better. I was more scared of Angelica Houston than I was of Anne Hathaway. The only thing that had me a little creeped out by Anne Hathaway is the way they decided to do her witch face, and the explanation behind her witchiness, which is like they're not witches per se, they're like demons. And so when you get into that, like you mentioned, the feet and the hands and everything, they take off the gloves, the claws, the eyes. It's like it goes open.
It's like what the Joker would have wanted if he could get it.
Yeah, exactly. And with Angelica Houston's Grand High Witch, I was more the first time I saw that one, I was more afraid of that one a little bit because just the makeup they had on her when she and taking her face off. I didn't see that coming. First of all, the first time I saw it, as soon as she ripped her face off, I said, "Oh my God!" I thought that was just.
I would say so because of the fact that, like I said, I probably watched the 1990s version, but probably barely because I didn't remember it at all. Mm-hmm. But just the fact that I watched the 2020 version first and then the 1990s version, I didn't expect her to look like that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I was like, what?
And on top of that, I don't know, Angelica Houston's presence to me, her presence as the Grand High Witch was more intimidating.
Because she's those are the roles that she plays.
And I know, and that's not to say Anne Hathaway wasn't intimidating, but she was intimidating in a way like, oh, you gonna get them because the scariest moment.
I would say that the 2020 version of the witch, the Grand High Priestess, yeah, that's why.
Yeah. One of our viewers says she's a seasoned actress. Yeah,
Dave's mom said.
You don't want to expose me.
Dave's mom said on one of our.
Hi, Mom.
I know.
No,
cut it out.
I agree with that. I mean, yeah, Angelica Houston, especially at that time in 1990s, where she was really starting to dig into that. Really starting to dig into going into the Addams Family territory and stuff like that. She was that seasoned actress to do that creepy stuff. That was her lane.
She was born to do that. Like she plays those roles exceedingly well.
But it's just like the creepiest moment I got from Anne Hathaway's. Well, there were two, but the one I remember the most is the pigtails. Like I don't know why. I was just that kind of caught me a little bit because that's where she got like it was moments like that where she was like interacting with the grandmother and when she was kind of at her neck.
And you know what I'll say to you in regards to that is the fact that in the 1990s you have to remember there was really no censor on things.
Yeah,
that's what you have to remember as well.
And that's
like the lack of censorship. Not to say that there wasn't any, but there's great differentiation
and for
with that type of stuff because you see now just in other movies that they will take out stuff because of sensitivity. Yeah. So I would say that if it weren't the way,
because honestly,
things weren't the way that they are now, that we probably would have gotten something a little bit more demonic in the witch.
Yeah. Because honestly, in that 1990s version, when they stepped on the mice on that one mouse and squished the shit out of it, because
they actually squished one. Because
I was waiting for that. I was like, how they gonna do that?
They didn't do that in 2020.
They did, but they made up. I don't want to say they made up for it in a weird way. But
just we'll say because of animal cruelty. Oh no, they killed the mouse, bro. That's a whole rat. You're supposed to kill them.
And for all that, I think one of the things I think they made up for that though with squishing the mouse is they had this climax. Like at the climax of the movie for the 2020 version, they have what I feel if they would have put in the 1990 version, that would have elevated that movie to a whole different level of.
But you have two different directors.
Yeah.
And then what is it? 30-year difference.
Yeah.
So a lot of development and a lot of things have changed and people change. So
yeah, true. But because I know this is based on a source material.
I wonder if it was the same director. How would the director have done the remake?
I mean, this probably would have been a good, clear PG-13. It would have been a solid PG-13. I don't see how this is PG. I don't see how the original was.
But that's what I'm saying. The sensitivity level back then wasn't as sensitive as it is now. Mm-hmm. So,
the 2021 they did add a new character.
Well, they had two new characters. Well, no, it was one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, so yeah. It's,
I forgot about but the way that they did the 2020 version of adding a new character, which was they gave Luke. We're gonna call him Luke. 2020 Luke.
Black Luke.
Yeah, he pretty much had a pet rat. Mm-hmm. And so when he goes to the hotel, he ends up getting turned into the rat as well. And this pet rat actually starts to talk to him.
Yeah.
Come to find out that this pet rat was actually a child too. Mm-hmm. So that was a little bit freaky that he ended up with
another child.
And so anyway, he interacted with the witch at the store and it kind of like blew him. And so that's why they ended up going to the hotel. The witch is turning into a rat. The fat boy into the rat. The friend rat goes out and saves the fat boy. Luke ends up getting turned into the rat, and so the friend ends up going to save Luke as well. And she's a girl, so they have a trio. So her reason for not telling him was that, of course, who's going to believe a talking rat? Mm-hmm. So that was a little bit different as opposed to the first 1990s version where actually Luke was actually doing everything by himself after he got turned into the rat.
Yeah.
He didn't have the help of Bruno. And this one, it was a trio trying to get... Bruno.
Let me tell you, that's one thing. They didn't change. If there's one thing they kept the same was that fat ass Bruno.
Yeah.
They kept him the same. I mean, from I like to eat down
That's
to
what he was
my
doing.
tail getting caught everywhere.
And
It's like,
he was actually
Bruno.
pissing me off when she brought him to talk
he
to the
was
parents.
infuriating.
And he wouldn't talk. I was like, you don't take that damn crack out your mouth.
Matter of fact, he was worse in this one because at least in the original one, he said, "Hi, mom and dad," and the mom started freaking. Ah! This one, he was like, "My father the Lord gets when I eat with food. Picture if you talk." Yeah, that's I guess. I mean, he was still a fat ass though. I was still kind of sick of him.
And what I like too is that in both of them they took the Grand High Witch money. I mean, she had stacks.
Oh man, she was loaded. I would have took it too though.
I would have too.
Hell yeah.
I wasn't about to follow other witches though.
One of the things that I definitely did not like about, well, not that I didn't like it, but it was kind of distracting, was definitely Chris Rock's narration. My grandmother was a witch. My grandmother used to know the witches, and I tell you they're evil.
Okay, that's really enough. Your impression is even more annoying than his.
Chris Rock's narration in it was like, I could have done without it. I could have, and then for it to turn up in the end how it did was I hate.
So the endings of both movies are different.
Drastically different. I hated. Not that I hated the ending of this one.
What's funny in the movie though is that once the little boy turned into the mouse, he was like, "Grandma, how long do I have to live?" And she's like, "Well, the average mouse lives 3 years, so you had 3 times that." I'm like, "Well, 3, 6, 9. 3 times 3 is 9."
Hey, boy, you're gonna die.
Bro, you got 9 years to live.
You gonna die.
Damn.
I didn't like the 2020 ending because, like you mentioned earlier, with the original 1990 ending, which. The ending is something I really didn't pay much attention to, so I'm kind of glad you paid more attention than I did. Was that the boy got to be turned back into a child?
But it's the fact that because they actually found a good witch.
Yeah.
Because so the 1990 version of the movie actually gives a little more descriptive details of the witches, and so the grandma was like, the only way we could get you to turn back is through finding a good witch, but they only had lists of bad witches, so she didn't know they was gonna ever be able to find a good witch. In the 2020 version of it, because Octavia Spencer actually practiced magic, they thought that they would be able to use her magic skills to reverse the formula. But her magic was she practiced it, but not to the extent of the Grand High Witch. So her magic was not even on the level that would be able to counteract the Grand High Witch. And then once again, the book that she had was for evil witches. So she would have went to evil witch and be like, well, how do I return somebody from a mouse? But who is it? And and the witches, for some odd reason, they sense that this person has already had interactions with the witch. So they would have known she interacted with the witch already. And they would have whatever. So just the strength of that. So just the fact that they actually killed out all the witches in the 2020 version, except for the Grand High, and they did that the way that they did that, and it didn't leave any good witch behind.
But they didn't have to stay mice. That's all I'm saying.
But you would have had to find a witch.
It was an ending that I disliked, but for all that I disliked it for, I actually thought it was a bold choice. And I thought it was, even though it's presented as a happy ending, they play "We Are Family." They go ahead and play the most optimistic song in the world. That is a grim ending. They hid that behind some of the most optimistic stuff in the world, but that is the grimmest ending you could possibly have. And then they kind of tack it to, they kind of Disneyfy it for me, where they had Chris Rock as the adult mouse now. Leading the revolution of the other kids to go get the other bad witches. That's where they Disneyfied it for me, because it was like, okay, now you're just tacking on trying to say, see, it is a good ending. It is a happy ending because now they're gonna go kill the other bad witches. So see,
kids killing witches now.
Them being mice forever wasn't that bad. But I mean, essentially speaking, especially going through that montage of them going all over the world and whatever the case may be, and being a family, it's like, yo, this lady, jokes on you, Octavia Spencer. Jokes on you, Octavia Spencer. You got to spend the rest of your life talking to some damn mice.
Well, that was better than what she had going on.
it's grim. It is a grim ending,
But
which
so
is why
what?
I respect it, but I don't like it. I respect it, but I don't like it. Um, yeah, I like the client. I talked a little bit about just
He's jelly.
I
Look,
talked to, I, why is she whispering to the pumpkin? Come on, we got a show to
hmm?
do. Okay, so listen, I want to go ahead. The climax of the movie, I liked it a little bit better in this 2021 because, like I said, he did something that, and I know they probably couldn't do it in the 1990s, but
oh,
still,
sorry, I'm choking my hand.
I liked that they had the Grand High Witch turn into that rat, and then them kind of have to
Bro,
fight
that
and
rat was.
battle that
But
rat.
you know what I'm saying. I like the way that they turned the way they showed the kids being turned into rats in the 1990s version, because they really didn't show them being turned into the rats. They just showed pretty much.
They show like a quick version of it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like you could tell a lot of like just a lot of sensitivity. Like I'm tired.
That 1990s one was more on body
You know what really
horror.
grinds my gears is you bitches. I'm tired of y'all. Like stop being so sensitive to stuff. It's not that deep. Damn.
That the 1990s version was definitely more body horror than anything else, really. And this one was more like, well, we have CGI now, so let's see how scary we can make something look with CGI. And they really made the grand, excuse me, they made the Grand High Witch look real scary as that rat, and then having that final battle with them and everything. I thought that was really cool.
Battle.
Yeah, it was like a final climactic battle.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But all in all, though, I mean, if I'm really gonna say anything, because I know I compared the two earlier, if I'm really gonna say anything about Anne Hathaway's performance, is that I don't know what happened between the one movie I watched with her before, where she did a damn German accent, and this one, but she must have hired a really good dialect coach because she's improved with that accent.
And just the fact that remember that the 1990s version is in England.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I thought about is the fact that they had an American witches book, so they could easily have tied this one into saying that now it's 67, and pretty much that we're gonna, this person is taking on the role of finding the English, the American witches.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it didn't take that role because it pretty much is just a remake of the other movie.
Okay, so what were your thoughts going into the 2021?
I didn't have any.
You didn't have any?
Nope.
What about the 1991? Well, you watched the 1991 after the 2021.
Yeah.
So you kind of.
Yeah, so I was just like, okay, I expected it to pretty much line up the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the changes they made. My thoughts going into this 2021, because I watched some of the 1990s one just because I saw the horrific scene of the boys turning into a mouse.
Until he fell asleep.
No, that's not.
He watched them until he fell asleep. Cut it out. Yeah, that's what happened.
Where was I? Where was that? I was at my mom's house.
You was in the bed going to sleep.
No. That's not the first time I saw the 1990s one. The first time I saw the 1990s one was at my mom's house, and I saw the preview on Netflix. The 1990s one is on Netflix. So I saw the little preview when you go and like they showed a little clip from the movie, and I saw a boy turn into a mouse. I said, "Yo, what the heck is this?" So I decided to watch it. I didn't really watch it all the way through, but it seemed interesting. So my thoughts going on this one was, okay, well, it's 2020. We got more technology. We have more things to do. Robert Zemeckis, he's pretty good with the horror stuff. Monster House is pretty scary. So I'm thinking, yo, it's probably going to be scary as shit. And it wasn't that bad.
First of all, it's rated PG. It's a kids movie, so
hey, I mean, some of these
I understand that some of them, but I'm glad that first of all, it's just the fact that it presents witches and the backstory behind magic. So I'm glad they didn't go too deep into it, especially if you want kids to watch it.
Well, I mean, with the horror images, because again, some directors, even now, some directors are like, it's a kids horror film, but I'm gonna kind of go all out.
That too, because look at it, Nightmare Before Christmas. So I would say even in comparison with that, it's pretty much almost on the same level of horror. Okay. So I'm like, it's not like over exaggerated, especially if you want like young kids to watch it, because a lot of kids are afraid, especially if you say witches, because of the backstories of witches. Mm-hmm. So just the fact that they didn't put as much horror, visualized horror into it, because like I said, let's say the little kids watching. they're watching, they're not really listening. So the fact that they didn't make it as dramatic as 1990s Witch was a little bit better.
Yeah, I suppose. This was released. The newer version was released on HBO Max. Of course, now we're in the age where everything goes to streaming. So I definitely love to ask this question: do you think that this would have been a successful box office film, a successful theatrical film?
I believe that it would have.
So,
yeah, especially around this time for Halloween. We don't know what else would have been out right now at this moment.
I do. We would have had some. We had some decent horror films. If we're going off of the everything was pushed to later in the year schedule, we would have had Candyman. We would have had Halloween.
Well, we're talking about for
kids. No, that's what I'm saying. Like to counter the adult
Candyman
films.
is not for kids.
No, well, to counter the because I don't think there were any kid centric Halloween films.
So then this one would have probably took the box office for the kids then.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to know because, like I said, the parents still want to take their children to the theaters. So if there were no other kid-friendly films, then this would have been the one.
I see it that it has a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you think that score would have been higher in the theaters?
I think so because a lot of people don't have HBO Max.
Yeah.
I think that if they would have picked a different streaming service, it would have been higher.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I like Netflix, it probably would have boosted it up.
Even Prime.
Yeah, definitely with Prime.
Now I'm gonna say definitely with Prime, but even Prime.
Well, yeah.
Because like I said, a lot more people probably more than likely have Netflix. I mean, a lot of people do have Prime as well.
Yeah, and then I'm not even gonna cap. HBO Max isn't something that's accessible to everybody. You know, I'm only able to watch because I have a device that's compatible with the service. But if you have like the basics devices like a Fire Stick or a Roku, you're not getting HBO Max, so people aren't going to tune in. So you're right.
I ain't gonna say nothing.
So you're right.
Yeah, and then also I found out that the 1990s version had higher ratings. The critic reviews were high. I want to say what was it? It was a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. But like I said, this movie was released in the box office, so it grossed $88.7 million during that time. So with that being said, it was released in the movies. More people had accessibility to it, and that's what caused the ratings to be what they were.
Yeah, and I definitely think that 93% is definitely again a result of the times because people were more acceptable to something being a thrill. It's like a thrill ride to take your kids to. Oh man, my kid was so scared, but this was a great movie, and I like that my kid was able to see something that was scary, but not too scary, but just scary enough to give them one nightmare tonight.
Nah. They don't want to get in your bed, and then they don't want to leave.
So, I mean, I think we talked enough about.
Yeah, also, and then I want to talk about the differences in the lengths of time in the movies.
Yeah.
So, 2020 was an hour and 46 minutes. 1990 was an hour and 31 minutes. But they both seem like the same amount of time. Like I didn't see the difference in it was almost a 15-minute difference.
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
I would say that maybe that time came, especially with the 2021, they did where they didn't so much flesh out a lot of the story like the 1991 did. They fleshed out more of the characters interacting. Like they fleshed out a lot of that mouse interaction that you didn't really get so much of in the 1991, I would assume that's just because
that's where the time went then.
Yeah, because they had to use puppets back then. Now we're using computers, so you can do a lot more.
And then the witches in the 1990s version, well, both of them actually had snakes. So that was like their go-to. Both of them had cats, the black cats, of course.
The black cat in this one was funny.
I like the 2020 black cat. I like the 2020 black cat. But then the 1990s black cat was more realistic to a cat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, different time periods, 30-year difference. So, you know, a little older than I am. So, I wouldn't,
yeah, both have a PG rating. I mean, are they appropriate for kids? Yeah, sure. You can have know your kid, know what they're afraid of, but I mean, to say that
I would say yes, they're appropriate, and then I would say no because, like I said, some kids may have nightmares from it.
Yeah, like especially with this 2021, the way her mouth opens up, I think is significantly more scary than to a kid.
The 1990s version, you're like, oh, she's so ugly. Ooh, what happened to her? You know, that's
but
yeah. So,
this 2021 is she's just.
I would say to an older child, I would say maybe 7 and above.
Yeah,
I would say
it's definitely a 7 and up movie. Yeah. So I mean that's all. I mean anything. I mean we talked about what stood out. We talked about what we didn't like so much. I mean,
and then I like the fact that the grandma was so supportive either way, and that she actually had knowledge and was able to listen, because we saw what happened with, you know, people who don't have knowledge, Bruno's parents.
Mm-hmm.
So just the fact that there was a knowledgeable adult there who even experienced it, it made the film a little better, and it made pretty much the fact that, you know, kids aren't just telling stories, like this stuff is real.
Yeah, definitely. And I do like
Mr. Bean. Like I was like, hey, Mr. Bean in the 1990 version.
Yeah.
Hey Bean.
Hey, you know, that reminds me, in the 2021, real quick, because I had so many things to say about this. Stanley Tucci played the same role Mr. Bean played. Them damn wrinkles on his head. That's all I want to say. Those wrinkles was there, they're not there, there. It was so heavy wrinkles. That's all I want to say. I mean, there's no point in asking if it could have been a better ending, because each one has an ending it provides you with that. Like, whatever.
Like, so what if they didn't turn back? What if they just stayed? So I think that's what I like as well, is that they gave you the different endings.
Mm-hmm. You get the what if scenario in each one, so you're satisfied there. Does it deserve a sequel? I mean, that's not even a question. Like you said, you can consider this one a sequel to the 1991.
You really could, but I mean, if you want to give it a sequel, I believe that you could.
Yeah,
but not with the 2020 version, just because. So? No, because like the rat did not turn back, unless you know, Octavia's, you know, grandma suddenly finds another child or whatever, or they're able to actually find the potion and get him turned back, and then, you know, but then that's
like Anne Hathaway,
like he's almost on his deathbed, and then they find a potion.
Yeah, and they gotta, like, maybe Anne Hathaway's witch has like a new plot for the kids because she survived.
No, because you still have witches. Because remember, they got the Book of Evil Witches still.
Well, if they made a sequel, who would you want to see as the new head witch? Like, what actress do you think could hold it down, or actor?
I mean, you could go with a male. That'd be a little bit different to go with a male.
If it was a male, I'd say Billy Porter. No. Yeah, no. Is that the one I'm thinking about? The one that always dresses like real flamboyant? No, I'd rather Billy Porter. I would rather Billy Porter. Isn't that the one that always dresses like real flamboyant and everything? I think that.
Let's be my man Titus.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, that shit would be so funny.
You know what? Hey, look, I'm down. I'm down for that.
Or what's his name? That's his from Vice Principals.
Are you talking about Walton Goggins?
You know which one I'm talking about.
Walton Goggins, yeah. Bruh. Look, yeah, no, but come on, you couldn't see. Billy Porter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Come on. And now if they make another one to this one, come on, they gotta use. If they gotta use a male witch, y'all gotta use Billy Porter. Come on now, he'll kill the role. He'll kill the role. That's all respect.
And you know
what?
Titus got to be the right up under him. You know,
man, come on, that'll be amazing. That'll be an amazing follow up to this one. But outside of that, no.
And what's his name too? I swear he got to be in it. It just needs to be. I think that the next witches should be more of an adult film. I did 2 for the kids. Give us an adult one. Yeah, I would love that, especially with those specific people in it. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I guess.
I'm hyped for that.
So what are you giving the 2021 on scale of 1 to 5?
Okay, so just based off of watching the 2020 version of it, I'll probably give it a 4.0.
Okay.
And the 1990s version, I'll give it like a 4.3. I like that one better.
Okay. I will give the 2021. I'll give it a solid 4. And the 1990s one, I think I actually might be there with you. 4.3. Yeah, 4.3, because that one was
I like that one a little bit better. They were more descriptive in it, and you know, just like I said, they changed up some things or whatever. But I kind of like that one a little bit better.
Well, you know, I'm gonna give it a 4.1 because I mean.
And then, you know what, in the 1990s version, the damn witch pushed the baby down the downhill.
Oh, yeah, no, back up to 4.3. Back up to 4.3. Because she said, ooh.
I thought she was going to dip.
Look at the boy said.
I thought she was gonna dip some of the damn poison in the baby mouth. No, she pushed the little baby down the hill.
And then it was a plan to catch the boy too. Like that's the crazy thing about it. It's like, yeah, push his ass.
I was like, no, not the baby.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But then mom should have been awake anyway. Because first of all, I've been whooping that bitch ass. I'm sorry. Somebody been running after my kid already. All right, you get the kid. I'm about to whoop this bitch ass. Pushing my damn baby down the hill. you picked the right one today. Try to catch a damn.
But you know what?
Cool breeze. I just finished
definitely
breastfeeding this goddamn baby. You got the right one.
But you know, I could definitely see Anne Hathaway's witch pushing the baby down the thing. You know, all right. You know, it may sound like I was shitting on Anne Hathaway's witch. I was not. Anne Hathaway did phenomenal.
She did well.
She did phenomenal.
She did well because, like I said, even watching this one, the 2020 version before the 1990s version, I was impressed by the actress.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, so that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you all for tuning in. This is our review of The Witches 2020 and 1990. If you like our content, you want some more. If you want, I'm trying to write this up. If you want some more content like this, just remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do videos here every week. Remember to come back here on Tuesday? Friday.
Oh, Friday.
Next Tuesday for Sam's anime reviews. And starting.
If you have a suggestion, please let me know. Remember to come back Friday for Day's review. And remember to stay safe. Wear your damn mask. Use your damn hand sanitizer. Wash your damn dirty ass hands. Limit social gatherings and be safe.
Be safe and happy Halloween. Get some good candy. Be cool. Be safe. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And we will see you next time. Peace.